Wendy Williams is in the news, and Wendy is out here talking conservatorship. Now, all of you know my relationship and history with Wendy Williams. If you don't know, let me give you a quick summary. She walked so I could crawl. That's basically it. Nobody that does what we do on God's internet, Beyonce's internet. She's still her internet. Is it still her internet?
Yeah.
On Beyonce's good internet, God's good Google, or anywhere in the sphere of radio that does what I do, that's a critic, a culture critic, or that has an opinion. Nobody would be doing this if it weren't for a Wendy Williams. She was one of the first, if not the first, to do it. And she had a really successful career. And everybody knows that in today's time with the Diddy Gate, everybody would want to hear Wendy talk about whether Diddy did or didn't do it. Well, I talked to Wendy this morning while I was getting ready, and she told me again she believes he did it, and he's going to jail forever. But anyway, we would want to hear her say it because she would deliver it the way nobody could. And in many ways, you know, when I was in the trajectory of figuring out how to get the Jason Lee show, I was, in many ways, following in her footsteps. Then I got sober and got into therapy, and then I kind of went adjacent because if I burned the internet all the way down, then there would be no room for anybody else. Well, Wendy is now resurfaced. As you know, I got really close to Wendy, ended up on her show many times, became a really close friend, and then she was ripped away from me and everybody else. Well, everybody's been asking, where is Wendy? Well, we finally heard from her. Let me give her a round of applause. We finally heard from her. And last week, when Wendy Williams stepped out from the shadows of the dungeon they have her handcuffed in, or tied to a bed or whatever, I don't know. None of us know because they won't let us in. The last time we heard from her before last week was all the way back in November of 2024 when her guardian, Sabrina Morrissey, claimed the media icon's alleged dementia battle was worsening. And if you remember when that news came out, all of us thought that Wendy had lost her mind. And there was a day where I was a little emotional because I was like, what if Wendy forgets me? And it's kind of weird because when you look up to somebody and then you emulate the steps they take to build a brand that is doing great for me, doing great for my team, and providing so much entertainment for all of you who are cheating on your break at work, you know, she made us think that Wendy was somewhere dying, shriveling up, and forgetting her son and her friends and all this and that. Well, it was alleged that Wendy was cognitively impaired as well and permanently incapacitated. These were allegations coming from the person that's been put in charge of Wendy and her money. But now we've all learned that
it was all a lie.
Let me show you, just for the sake of making sure we contextualize this person, a picture of Sabrina Morrissey. This is Sabrina. Now, this ain't the best picture of Sabrina. She looks like a scoop of country crock butter. If you were to stick a spoon in it and pull it out, that's what it looked like. Well, Sabrina is an attorney in New York City. She does.
She kind of did. It was very yellow, that picture.
Very.
At the beginning of the year now, our friend Charlamagne the Guy gave a health update on Wendy. Here's a photo of Charlamagne and what he said. He said, quote, "She's perfectly fine. Wendy sounds like she could do radio tomorrow if she wanted to. I don't know what incapacitated means in regard to dementia or whatever it is they said she was dealing with, but no, there ain't nothing incapacitated about Wendy Williams." Well, Charlamagne, I have to say, you know, it's, again, really interesting because Wendy put Charlamagne on. Charlamagne, in many ways, helped put me on. And like all of us, now he and I, the bookends of her career, kind of helping her now. And so he and I have been talking almost every day, every other day about this, and he made sure to put me in touch with Wendy. So I thank you, Charlamagne. 2 weeks later, after Charlamagne had released that statement, The Breakfast Club interviewed Wendy and her niece, Alex Finney. This is what I love about the interview. This is not about, was his interview better, my interview better? Because in most cases, when an artist goes on a show or somebody goes on a show, we all look at each other's shows and go, damn, did they do a better job there? Or did they do a better job here? Did they give more to them or did they give more to me? This interview for me and this interview for Charlamagne at the Breakfast Club was all about keeping Wendy's name and the Free Wendy movement going. So there was no competition because I would interview Wendy Williams every day singing the ABCs or 1, 2, 3s or whatever, the alphabet song, in order to keep her voice out there because that's what this movement is about. So Charlamagne at the Breakfast Club interviewed both Wendy and Alex, and both claimed that she was not cognitively impaired. I also spoke with Wendy and Alex in an exclusive interview that we shared on Hollywood Unlock's YouTube. If you haven't seen it, you can go over there and look at the whole thing. It was about 25 minutes. But if you missed it, here's a small clip of Wendy speaking about her being held hostage in this hostage-like conservatorship, her guardian and how she wants to work again. Listen. I mean, the one thing that I know for sure is that you loved two things. You loved your show and your audience, and you loved your son. And to me, the way that you disappeared, there's no way in heaven or hell you would have left your son that way. And when I called him to ask him how you were, he was terrified to even have a conversation with me. So it gave me this perception that you were almost being held by terrorists. When you talk to Sabrina Morrissey about getting out, what does she say?
Sabrina Morrissey says anything to keep me here because Sabrina's making money from me, you know, and she told me that there's no money. And that's a lie. You know, you're not going to be with somebody for 3 years and not make money from me, especially the several million that I know that she has holding me hostage. Like my money, like I have like $15, and that's all I've had for 3 years. You understand what I'm saying?
In terms of in her wallet right now, physically on her, Jason is what she's saying. Yeah.
Excuse me, in my Goyard wallet. Like, you know, labels are important, darling. You know, but literally, and all of my stuff is in storage. You know, I sold my apartment, which I wanted to do that too. You know, sell my apartment and live in Miami and be with my family and relax in Miami. And yes, I would like to work again in Miami. You know, but simple work. You know, and that would be something where I could even ask Alex, what do you think about, you know, if I do this? And I only want to do it like once a week, or you know what I'm saying? I got my son a car for his graduation from college, and it had to be approved by my guardian person. It's like my money is my money. You know what I'm saying? If I want to get my son, you know, any car in the world, I've got the funds, and it's for my son.
So when you hear that, what do you think?
That she needs to be with her family. She always sounds like she's not impaired, like she's fully aware of herself. She always sounds extremely healthy when she's with her family or right after she leaves time with her family. So obviously she is thriving in those environments, and them keeping her locked away without access to her money is just ridiculous to me. It's obvious that someone is using this as a livelihood for themselves.
She sounded conscious to me. She's talking about how she wanted to go to Miami and chill and maybe work once a week. Like, and you can tell it was like she was like a bottle of Sprite, and you just like ripped the bottle open, and she was just going on and on. You could tell she was so happy to talk to you.
Yeah, and our conversation was very personal. So that way, and the reason why I did it that way, unlike like the way I interviewed the people at City Hall the other day, that was like Law and Order. You can go take a look at that. This was more about like asking her things that would jog her memory to watch how she responded. So me and Wendy had this joke where one day we were on the phone and I was like, Wendy, I need to go mainstream because, you know, I got us. And she said, well, you need white friends. So I'll give you one of my white friends if you give me one of your white friends. And the white friend I wanted was Kelly Ripa, and then the one she wanted was Madonna. And then you ripped her away before I could get to Kelly Ripa, and now I haven't been on Kelly and
Mark.
Rob's in love with Kelly's husband, so clearly he knows who
I love
he
both
is.
of them.
He's hot, but I wanted to be friends with Kelly Ripa. Anyway, they ripped her away, and that didn't happen. So I asked her that during the interview. You got to go listen to it. And she laughed about it because it was a funny moment. But that was one of the things to just kind of, you know, kiki with Wendy. And the thing that I will say is, you know, Wendy had her demons. Drugs, I never saw Wendy do drugs. And I mean, I've been in and around Wendy many times. Now, sipping.
Who hasn't?
No.
Am I right? All right.
Wendy and I never got that drunk when I was around Wendy when I drank at the time because I couldn't, because she did it for both of us. But she lost her husband. Her son went to school. She was a cat lady in her apartment, in her own words, and she was alone. And, you know, that can do something to some people who are going through their things. But anyway, it now sounds like she's super clean and healthy and focused, and it didn't sound like dementia to me. And the other thing that Charlamagne brought up that I thought was a really good point is dementia isn't something that requires the court to take all your money, take you away, lock you up. That's craziness. Dementia is a diagnosis that then progressively gets worse over time. And if you have millions of dollars and a family that loves you, you have enough money and resources to have people take care of you. So we just seen through the bullshit. Well, Wendy also detailed during our interview her living restrictions and denied being cognitively impaired. She also said she ain't been laid or had a man. Y'all gotta go listen to the interview, but this is what she said about that. Listen.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that, first of all, Wendy, you know, I miss you and love you, and everybody, and you may not see this, is talking about you online and wants to know why they have not freed Wendy. People love you, people
Listen,
miss you.
have you ever tried to call me and I can't answer? Have you ever tried to? Yes.
Absolutely not. In fact, I was telling Alex, you and I would talk almost every day. I would come and see you every time I'm in New York. We would have a great time, and you were always attentive to me, and we would have a great experience. And so I've been so confused at this entire process. And Alex will tell you, Alex, I've called you multiple times, and Kevin, asking
Yes.
what is going on with Wendy.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
you know what? This has been a really, like I flew to Miami from New York, for my son. He finished, college, and and I was there in Miami for 9 days. This was, about a month, less than a month ago. You know what I'm saying? We had a great time. You know what I'm saying? The family. I mean, we did so many different things, and this guardian person can't stand that I had such a great time. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm in prison. You understand what I'm
Well,
saying?
no,
I mean,
Wendy, I don't know that she doesn't. She's mad that you had a good time. I think she's mad that we now see that you're not incapacitated the way that they've told the media, that you're not that you've lost all of your mind. You don't know where you are. I mean, the way that they've communicated to the world is almost as if you don't even know who you are. You sound better than ever.
I mean, does she sound incapacitated and full of dementia?
Not at all.
It's kind of crazy to think that somebody can actually take you, seize control of your money, just take you away from your family and lock you away. I'm telling you both right now, if you let that happen to me, you're fired.
What? Oh God.
Well, I won't remember because they'll say I have dementia. But just make sure you don't let this shit happen.
I watched both of my parents, my grandparents, go watch both of my two of my four grandparents go through dementia. That is not what it looks like,
Right.
Or it sounds like.
I'm gonna tell you something I've never ever said. One of my first jobs years ago, I worked in a care home, like not a care home, in-home support, helping people. I did it for probably like a week.
How was that?
One of my clients had dementia, and he would get up and put newspapers in the stove, like in the oven, which is sad. You think about it, but I'm like, hold on. I try to sleep at night on the job, and I can't sleep if you're gonna burn the house down. It wasn't for me. It takes a special person to do that. Now I'm over the city who deals with in-home support services. So I'll be a better advocate. Well, if you want to hear more about that interview, go over to Hollywood Unlocked's YouTube channel and listen to it. Now, after Wendy spoke with me and the Breakfast Club, where she sounded perfectly fine to all of us, Roberta Kaplan, a lawyer hired by her guardianship team, claimed that she was still suffering from frontal lobe dementia, a neurological disease with no cure. Why these people are releasing her HIPAA information to me, I don't know. But maybe we do know. And maybe it's... Roberta told TMZ that because of this diagnosis, the state court found Wendy unable to make legal and financial decisions on her own, and that because of the degenerative nature of the disease, she will require care for the remainder of her life. Firing back at her guardianship attorney, Wendy told TMZ, see, Wendy knows media. So Charlamagne put her on the phone with Harvey, and this is what she told TMZ. How would she know that? I've never met Roberta Kaplan, and I have never talked with her. I'm so isolated and locked away in a luxury prison. So much for the Me Too movement. In addition to Wendy's questionable guardian and guardianship attorney, it was also reported that her guardianship judge, Lisa Sokoloff, was once under a 6-month investigation for
Allegedly.
granting guardianships to attorneys, law firms, and other groups and entities that contributed to her Supreme Court campaign between 2019 and 2022. Judge Sokoloff allegedly raked in $5,720 in donations and handed out 62 guardianship appointments in just 2022 alone. This is the same year that Wendy was placed into a conservatorship with lawyer Sabrina Morrissey, who Judge Sokoloff appointed after Wells Fargo freezed up all of Wendy's money. Now, here's a disclaimer. While the investigation into Sokoloff showed Morrissey didn't donate to her, the judge still awarded her several guardianship positions that same year. Let me tell you something, Sabrina Morrissey. We're going to keep your name in the news. We're going to keep your name online. I've heard through the grapevine that you've received several threats, several death threats. People want to kill you. Sabrina Morrissey, hold on a second. Do your thing, TikTok. We don't encourage threats of death or murder or any of those things. But you got to be careful because you just never know what's going to happen these days. You saw the murder of the CEO from the healthcare, United Healthcare, happen in broad daylight. Sabrina, I'm not going to pray for you. I'm going to say be very careful because what you're doing to a human being who's loved by millions of people, could backbite you. It could backfire, and it could create a problem for your safety, as you've been telling people. Well,
Allegedly.
good luck. Or not. We love you, Wendy.